you could book us and we'll come to your city at your convenience. So these two services are basically to maintain the social distancing so that you don't visit the WAC, or we don't have much of the people uh, crowding the WAC. There are other services that we have that I would like to just brief you quickly about is a prime time service that we offer, which is submission after operation hours. So people who are working or who have school or colleges and they're not available between the operation submission timings, they could come post working hours or on a Saturday, depending on your location, whether they're facilitating that facility, and you can submit your application there. Document scanning service, as if you're not able to scan your documents, we would be scanning the documents for you. Premium lounge services are also the personalized services, a lounge service that we offer, where the applicant can have a faster submission with a dedicated staff, personalized services, where you get a complimentary service of SMS and document check, travel insurance, which I'll be talking about, and photocopy service, which would be complimentary included in this package. We also serve SMS, where the applicant can get quick texts on their application submission and the decision if they're made. So if the application is couriered, you come to know whether your application is couriered or your decision is made, and you can come and collect it at the VFS center. We provide courier service where the applicant can give their preferred address and we submit the passport at their delivery. So it's not mandatory that it has to be as per your passport. It can be any address at your convenience. So it waives off the Saturday, Sundays, because the delivery can be done during that time also. You don't have to wait for the visiting hours at the center to collect your passport here. We also have the super priority and priority visas for students who want to fast track their application and upgrade their application, where the processing time becomes 24 hours in super priority. Of course, the fees are also included in that. The priority visa fees is for 5 working days. So your application is processed in 5 working days. They try to process the UKVI process to process your application in 5 working days. They try to do that. If the decision is, if you want to maybe, if you have your travel plans, which is before 15 working days of your processing time. There's another service called Keep My Passport service, where you can keep your passport and retain it with you during the submission process. I mean, your processing time, you can keep your passport with you. The submission would be there. The passport, the decision would be, the processing time would be happening. Your application will be under process, but then you can have your passport. Maybe if you're going for an exam where you need your ID proof, or you're traveling someplace else, so you can have your passport. But then when your decision is made, we contact you to submit your passport back, and then we hand it over back to you after the visa is stamped on it. Keeping in mind the services, if an applicant wants to include all the bundle of services and they want to choose from a lot of services, we have a discounted packages that we serve, which is gold and bronze package, which offers a variety of services inside. Which gold package includes a premium lounge, where you have a dedicated staff and a lounge facility, where your documents can be scanned, and you get a courier facility with your documents checked as per the checklist. The automated callback service, where you get a callback alerts, and the SMS service as well. You also get a complimentary travel insurance for 7 days here. The bronze package also includes the callback service, the courier, and the application document check with insurance services. So these are the packages that have been maybe catered to the demands that we get from the customer. So you could just choose it and it would be at the discounted price. This is what the VFS offers for the students right now. If there are any questions, I think we'll be taking at the end of the session.
Yeah, I think we'll do that. Thank you so much, Kirti. I can that there are some questions, but let's take them together after Divya's part. For everybody here in the meeting, can I just say that I have put in a link in the chat box where you can meet the 42 universities after this session is done. I hope you can all hear and see us. We've just finished the VFS presentation. We're going to now go on to the UKVI presentation. Again, this session is strictly on visas, student visas, graduate route, working after finishing your course, etc. So if you have questions pertaining to that, please put that in the chat. I will make sure that our panel here today are able to answer it. If you have questions around studying in the UK, courses, scholarships, applications, that is what the next 4 hours are for, basically for you to go around and meet the universities and get those questions answered. Okay, so and yes, we are recording the session so that, and we'll make it available on our YouTube later. Great. Okay. On that note, Divya, if I may invite you, please, for the much awaited visa session. It's a full room today. It's going to get fuller. So please do come in, Divya, and start your presentation.
Thanks, Atre. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Divya, and I represent UK Visas and Immigration, and I work for British High Commission. So in today's presentation, I will be covering a lot of things on the visa process and the policies, the graduate route, what are the current travel guidelines, and what is the process of application for a student visa. To start with, my first slide talks about some of the stats, current stats, which has been published lately. So as per the statistics published this year, so we have seen increase in student visa application, which is almost the double of last year. You can see it here, it's 102% increase in student applications from the Indian nationality. So we have granted more than 90,500 student applications in the year ending September 2021. And this is for the last 12 rolling months. So you can see the kind of increase that we are seeing for the student application, and it has almost rebound after the pandemic. So it's good to see the numbers here and the increase in the student applications since last 4 to 5 years. So we can see good story here, and hopefully this presentation will help you gain more information about the student visa. Moving on, I'm talking about the supporting documents required for the student visa application. So these are the mandatory documents on the left-hand side, which is, of course, your current and valid passport, the CAS letter, which is confirmation of acceptance of studies, which will be issued by the university to the student for confirming the admission. And also tuberculosis test certificate is required to be submitted. This is a mandatory requirement for almost all the Southeast Asian countries. So that's again a mandatory requirement here. And also proof of finances, which confirms that you are able to support yourself while you're in UK. So these are the mandatory requirements. There could be more documents required to be submitted. It's case basis. Like if the student is under 18, more documents are required, which includes the consent of the parents, and relationship needs to be established by submitting the date of birth certificate, the educational documents and proof of English, if these documents are listed in the CAS letter issued by the university. So again, these documents needs to be submitted. Also, ATAS certificate, which is issued for some of the technical courses. So this is again a requirement. If that course requires you to submit that, and the university should be able to confirm this. And this needs to be procured before actually applying for the student visa. So when you meet the universities today, you can probably check if this course requires the ATAS certificate or not. So these are the requirements, quite simple. And you might want to just take a note of it and make sure these documents are available before you actually apply for your student visa. Moving on, I'll talk about the funds requirement here. Yes, so this is the amount of funds required to be shown as an evidence. So if the students are going for a university in London, the amount is a little more, which is £1,334 for each month. That makes up around £12,006 that needs to be evidenced in the application for the student visa. If the university is not in London, it's in the rest of UK, the amount is approximately £9,200, which is from 1,023 per month for 9 months. So that's a requirement, and these funds can be shown as an evidence in three ways. It could either be in the savings account in the bank, in the name of the students, or it could also be in the name of the parents or legal guidance. It could be through the education loan, which is, of course, should be in the name of the student, or it could be a government sponsored or a scholarship by any of the financial institution. So these documents can be submitted and evidenced as funds. However, if the submission is for the bank account, there is a financial rule applicable wherein the funds must be held for at least 28 consecutive days in the account. So the amount should not go below this amount mentioned, which is 12,000 or 9,200 during these 28 consecutive days. So this will ensure that you are meeting all the financial criteria before you submit the student application. So these funds can also be shown through fixed deposits. If you want to show fixed deposits in your name or the parent's name, that is also acceptable. However, stocks, shares, mutual funds, provident fund, these are not acceptable as proof of funds. Right. So I'll move on. Okay, my next slide talks about IHS, which is Immigration Health Surcharge. This has to be paid by every traveler to UK who is going there for more than 6 months. The payment of this IHS fees ensures that you gain access to UK's national health services, and this you will be able to access all the primary and the secondary medical care through this service. The amount of IHS fee is £470 per year. So if the course is for 2 years, so it's double the amount. So that needs to be paid along with the application. You will be routed to the IHS fees payment site, and that needs to be paid while you're submitting your application. Right. So this was about IHS. If you would like to check the amount of IHS fees, I've provided the link here. You can check in here mentioning the duration of the course. And if you have any dependents along with you, you can feed in that information and it will give you the approximate amount of the IHS fees. Moving on, the application process, I think this is already being covered by VFS. So again, it's a very simple process where the online application is made on gov.uk. The information needs to be filled in there, and the appointment needs to be taken at VAC, and biometrics will be submitted there, which is digitally transferred to the decision-making center, which is UKVI, and the decision is made on the application. This whole process and the decision takes 15 working days after the submission of the biometrics at VAC. Also, there are certain services available, again, which has already been covered by VFS. You can check if the super priority service is available at the VAC that you have opted for, and the priority service is available at most of the centers. So this is the process for visa submission for the student route. I'll move on and talk about the much awaited topic, which is the graduate route. So the graduate route has been launched and we have already started receiving applications for the graduate route this year. It has opened up on 1st of July this year. And there are a lot of applications that we are receiving from the students who have already graduated and completed their courses. So this route gives extension to the student. It's a post-study work visa, wherein the students will get 2 years or 3 years for the doctoral students to stay there in UK and look for work, or they can work or do the short-term courses there. This is a paid route again. So there is an application process similar to the student route. The application fees for this is £700. plus the IHS fees, which is again yearly, it's calculated on yearly basis. The IHS fees for this route will be £624 per year, calculated for the duration of the route, which is 2 years, so double the amount of that. So there isn't any sponsorship required for this route. There isn't any sponsorship to be taken either from the university or from the employer. The students can just submit their application for the graduate route after they complete their course in UK. Right, and also, yes, this doesn't lead to the settlement. These 2 years or 3 years do not lead to the settlement route, and this is just the extension of the student route, and which is 2 years for the graduates and 3 years for the doctoral students. Some more information on this, the eligibility criteria. As I mentioned, the students can apply for this route after they have completed their studies in UK. This is an in-country application process, and it must be applied while the student is in UK. So they must be inside UK. They must have a valid student visa. So they just need to keep a check that they have not run out of their valid student visa before applying for this graduate route. Another criteria for this is the student should have spent 12 months of their stay in UK. That is at least one academic year in UK and 12 months student visa as a minimum criteria. Mostly all the courses are eligible for the graduate route, including some of the professional qualifications like medical, law, and accountancy. So these routes are also eligible for the graduate route. The visa conditions for this route, the graduates are permitted to work at any level other than the restricted profession. So there isn't any salary cap on this. There isn't any minimum salary. They can do any kind of part-time job. They can fill multiple roles, and the supplementary courses are allowed. It just shouldn't be a sponsored student route. So other than that, any of the short-term courses are acceptable. During this period, there will be no recourse to the public funds to the graduates. And also the dependents who are already in UK while the student was there as a dependent, they may apply for the dependent in the graduate route as well. So that is when, if there are, the dependents who have come along with students during their student visa, they may also apply for the extension, that is for the graduate route, if the student is also applying for the graduate route. So they are eligible for that. During the period of graduate route, that is 2 years or 3 years, if the student is able to secure a job and which is a skilled level job, and he or she can switch to that work route at any point of time. So that is also permitted. Right, so this was about the graduate route. I'll move on to the next slide, which talks about the application process, which is very similar to the student route. So for graduate route also, again, the application has to be made online. The biometrics has to be submitted via an app. So the student doesn't need to visit the visa application center in UK. They can just submit their biometrics via the app. Again, which is digitally transmitted, and then the decision is made. The timeline for this is 8 weeks. So as I mentioned before, the student needs to make sure that they have a valid student visa before applying for the graduate route, and keep in mind the timelines for the processing of the graduate route. There isn't any services available like priority or the super priority service for the graduate route. So that also needs to be kept in mind before applying for the graduate route. Right, so this is all about the graduate route. And now I'll move on to the important topic, which talks about the UK travel guidelines. So the travel guideline says that the fully vaccinated travelers from more than 50 countries have simpler rules now. They just need to take one COVID test after they arrive in England, and they have to be fully vaccinated, and the vaccines have to be taken 14 days before they arrive in England. So the vaccines which are currently recognized by England are Pfizer, Oxford AstraZeneca, which includes Covishield, Moderna and Janssen, Sinovac, Sinopharm, and Covaxin. So if the traveler has taken any of these vaccines and they have taken the full doses, that is the 2 doses of these vaccines, they will be considered as fully vaccinated, and then they'll be following the rules as laid down. That is just one COVID test after arrival in England. So those who are fully vaccinated, they need to provide their vaccination certificate, which will be a document issued by a national or state level public health authority, and should have all the basic information like name, date of birth, and the place of vaccination. So you can look out for more information on gov.uk for this. So if the traveler is fully vaccinated, so before arriving in England, there are certain things which needs to be done beforehand. That is, before the travel, they need to fill and complete the passenger locator form before they arrive in England. The passenger locator form should have information about the COVID test, which has to be pre-booked and to be taken on day 2 of arriving in England. So the booking reference number will go into the passenger locator form, and this needs to be filled in by every traveler before they travel to England. Right, and now there has been also a recent change. Even if the students are fully vaccinated, they must quarantine themselves, and they will take a PCR test before the end of day 2, which is pre-booked, and then they need to quarantine themselves till they receive the negative COVID test. So this has been changed recently, and this is currently being followed. However, we would suggest that the students should check the latest guidelines, the border guidelines, nearer to their date of travel, because these keep on changing very frequently based on the situation. So just check the travel conditions before the travel. So this is the current rule which is being followed. Right, so I'll move on to the next slide, which will talk about if you are not fully vaccinated. So in case this traveler has not taken those listed 6 or 7 vaccines, or has just taken 1 dose of the vaccine, they will be considered as not fully vaccinated. So if that is the scenario, again, apart from filling in the passenger locator form, the COVID test that needs to be booked, there are 2 COVID tests, so which is for day 2 and day 8 after arrival in England, and also a COVID test to be taken 3 days before the travel to England. So there are 3 tests for those who are not fully vaccinated, along with the passenger locator form, and also quarantine for 10 full days at any place of stay. Could be the university accommodation, it could be a private accommodation at any of the relatives' place. So they need to quarantine themselves for 10 full days, along with those 3 COVID tests which needs to be taken. So that's the requirement and the guideline for the travelers who are not fully vaccinated. Again, as I said, these keep on changing frequently. So we advise the students or the travelers that they check the rules and the guidelines near to the date of travel. So in my next slide, I have listed down some of the important links. You might want to take this down. And the last link, which talks about coronavirus advice for applicants, this will have all the latest details and the guidelines for the travel to UK. Right, so I will end my presentation here now, and I think we'll go for the questions next. Back to you, Atresh.
Thank you. Thanks, Divya. We have quite a few questions coming in. Let me go back to the top. Hold on. Okay, there was one question around Hold on. Okay. Do we need the actual amount in our account at visa application, or student loan sanction letter will be sufficient?
Okay.
Well, the student loan should suffice the amount, the maintenance amount that I've mentioned. So, which is 12,006 for the stay in the university, which is in London, or 9,200 for university if it's outside London. So it should fulfill those conditions. The amount of loan should be able to meet those conditions. So this amount is apart from the amount which will be the tuition fees or the IHS fees or the visa application fees.
Thanks, Divya. I applied for the ATAS certificate in the UK Gov website on October 29th. I haven't received anything till now. How much time does it take, and what should I do if it doesn't come through?
Yeah.
Okay, so ATAS certificate is actually issued by Home Office, so we do not really have direct control over it. But the timelines that I'm aware of is it does take 6 to 8 weeks. So if you haven't received it, probably you want to go back to that link and just contact the Home Office and write to them if it is pending for certain reason.
No.
Thanks, Divya. Reasons for visa rejections. Can you tell people what to avoid?
Yeah, sure. So the top reasons are, not submitting the financial documents, the 28-day rule applicable for the students who are submitting evidence from their bank account. So make sure the funds are maintained in the account for at least 28 days before they actually apply for it. Do not forget to submit the TB test certificate. Again, this may cause the application to be rejected if the tuberculosis certificate isn't provided. The other reasons, yes, the application form should be filled accurately and completely. The information should go in there, which includes if there has been any refusal earlier for any of the countries. So it has to be honestly filled in there. If this isn't declared, so this and the visa officer finds out that there has been a previous refusal, it could again lead to the refusal as well. So these are the top guidelines. Just make sure the financial evidence, the TB certificate is there. You're providing all the documents listed in the CAS letter, and also the application is filled in honestly and completely.
Thanks, Divya. Fixed deposits can be used to show funds?
Yeah.
Yes, so fixed deposits are acceptable. So if it can be in the name of the student or it can be in the name of the parents, so those documents are acceptable.
Great. Here's another one. If I'd use the fixed deposits of my parents for visa applications and few of them got matured after a couple of days from the visa submission online, then what should I do? Seems like a very specific case, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll not be able to, comment on the individual situation, but, the funds that are being submitted as an evidence, make sure these are available in future till the time student is studying in UK, because that's the whole purpose of it, that you are financially secured when you're in UK and are able to use those funds when required in UK. So make sure that these are available for the use of the student studies.
Thanks, Divya. I think fully vaccinated refers to 2 doses, not 3. It does not refer to the booster, to answer a quick question. There were some questions around the graduate route, Divya. So one was, what is the difference between a student route and a graduate route? And is it difficult to get a graduate route?
Well, student route is when a student goes to UK for their graduation or the post-graduation course and you apply for your student visa. So that's the student route. It could be for 2 years or it could be 3 years. After the student completes the course there, he or she is eligible for a graduate route. It's an extension of the student route. It was previously called as post-study work. So after completing your course, you get 2 years as a graduate route, wherein you can gain experience in UK, you can work in UK, you can look for work. There are multiple opportunities there. You can work in a library, in a cafe, or a bar, or any of the institution or shop, and there isn't any restriction, there isn't any minimum salary requirement there. So that's the graduate route, and it gives you more time if you are looking to continue to stay in UK and work in UK. So you can look for a skilled worker job there, and if you're able to secure a job and you get a sponsorship from the employer, you then can move or switch to the skilled worker visa, which is actually a route to the permanent visa, which is the settlement visa.
Thanks, Divya. I think that makes it quite clear. There was a question around what the IHS involves, but Divya's already covered that in her presentation, so I hope you saw that. There are tons of questions coming in, so I'm going to go through these really quickly. This is a good one. At what point in your education should you apply for these visas? For example, after 12th boards are over or before? What is the right time to apply for a visa, Divya?
We really do not guide on that. It really depends. It's a personal choice. If the student is going for a graduation course or a post-graduation course, but as per the guidelines, as per the rules, you can apply for a student visa 6 months ahead of the course start date, and after that, it's completely student's choice. So when they want to do it, when they are, ready to travel, they have all their documents ready, and if you are eligible, if you complete all the eligibility criteria and the requirements for student visa application, you can go ahead and apply. So there isn't any rule that you cannot apply after 12, or you can not apply after before you complete your 12. So if you're meeting the eligibility criteria, you can go ahead and apply for the student visa.
James, can you
okay.
hear me?
So there was, thanks, Divya.
Yeah.
You can basically, yeah, it was said that a 90-day visa will be granted. What happens after that?
James, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. So once the student receives the visa is granted. So the VINIT is issued for 90 days. These 90 days will allow you to travel to UK. So within those 90 days, the student can travel to UK. After student arrives in UK, so they need to collect their BRP, which is Biometric Residence Permit, again, which would be an ID or a visa status for the student. So they need to collect that BRP card from the university or the post office, whichever option they choose in the application form, and keep that BRP safe with them, as that will be their ID card and the visas, and it will have all the immigration status of the student. So that acts as your visa after your VINIT of 90 days expires.
Thanks, Divya. I'm going to keep asking questions till 2:30. That's when we stop. So there are tons of them coming in, but we'll answer as many as we can. Could you elaborate on the no recourse to public funds for graduate routes visas?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, so the public funds are available for the nationals of UK. So if you're going on a student route or a graduate route, it does not gives you the permission to access the public funds. So which is for for various reasons. So that is applicable only to the nationals of UK. However, since you're paying for the IHS fees, you can access the NHS services, which is the primary and medical services. However, public funds, which is for the employment purposes, those who are not employed, those who are old age, so the public funds are for the nationals of UK. So those are not accessible to the students there.
Okay. Does a Okay, this is a technical one. Does a bank statement between date of application of visa and next 28 days enough for the proof of finances? And when should this proof be submitted? I think it's just about that, 28 days in the bank thing, if you just want to maybe clarify that.
Yeah, so I mentioned about the 28 days, continuous days the funds have to be maintained. And when you take out the statement from the bank, let's say you're taking it out on 30th of January. So after taking the statement from the bank, which says the closing balance is as on 30th January, you should be applying for your visa by 29th of February. Within 30 days of your statement, you should be applying for the visa. So what I mean is, when you're applying for a visa, the statement shouldn't be older than 30 days. And before that, 28 days maintenance of those funds. I hope I'm clear on this now.
Yes, I think that makes it very clear. Does 2 years undergraduate route get considered for the UK PR requirement of 5 years? That's a no. It does not. What are the educational documents required?
There could be a requirement of the academic documents. So all the academic documents which were submitted while applying for the university admission, and if the university has mentioned those documents in the CAS letter issued to the student, so those documents will be required to be submitted. There isn't any specific academic document that UKVI asked for, but we would like to see everything which is mentioned on the CAS letter by the university, and including the English skills certificate as well.
Great. There are more questions coming on the IHS. So, Divya, can you tell us a little bit about what it covers, the fee that students will be paying?
So it will cover all the primary and the secondary medical care in UK, and the students will be able to access all the services which any other UK citizen can access being there. There are certain exceptions, which is certain eye checks and some of the dental treatments which are not covered. Otherwise, almost all the primary and secondary medical services are covered under this.
Hope that's now clear to everyone. We will not be mailing you the slides, but you will have access to this video when we post it on our YouTube channel after this for all those who are asking. If universities waive off IELTS exam for IB students, do we still need to give it for visa?
Well, the English level skills are assessed by the university. So if the university has waived it off, the UKVI will not ask for it. But that doesn't mean that the student if there is a requirement, if visa officer feels a requirement that they need to check the English level and the skills of the student, they may be calling the student for the interview. So obviously the expectation is that the student is able to speak well and understand and write the English language well. So this can be assessed during the interview of the student. But yes, this is not a mandatory requirement for UKVI, but they should be ready to provide any documents that UKVI may ask for it later, and should be available for the interview if UKVI asks the student to appear for that.
Excellent. Just once again to reiterate, because there are some comments coming into me, no, the graduate route and the student route are not the same. They are not one and the same. Please don't think that they are. They are completely different for different purposes, and we request that you go back to this video later to find out how that is different. Okay, let me see. Is December too late to apply for the 2022 courses?
The event to flow like you want
if it's January 22 course, so if you're applying for the January intake, so please apply as soon as possible. It's already December. So as I mentioned, it's 15 working days that it takes to decision the application, which is almost 3 weeks. And you're aware there will be public holidays during Christmas, and it will be closed. So almost 3 or 4 days it will be closed in the last week. So you want to take care of that and apply as soon as possible. And on the we are facing high global demand for visit visas currently. So just to make sure that you're not anxious at the end period when you're traveling, just apply as soon as possible.
Yes. Where can I find a list for the COVID test that I need to do? It's usually available on the gov.uk website, right? There are quite a few websites and links given, Divya. Yeah. Great.
Yes, it's given on the website.
That's good. Okay. What qualifies a person as a dependent?
Sure.
Okay, so the dependents are allowed only for the postgraduate courses. If the student is going for a postgraduate course, the dependents are allowed, and dependents are only the spouse or the children who are below 18. So those will be termed as dependents. The parents or grandparents are not part of the dependents for the student visa.
Great. Does the amount of money include only course fees or lodging as well? No, it includes the living fees, which is accommodation as well.
Yeah.
Okay. How long before actually leaving for the UK should we get started with the visa application process? I mean, the thumb rule would be that as soon as you get your CAS, you should basically apply. Just bear in mind that you need to travel within 3 months of getting the visa vignette that you get is for 90 days. So that's 3 months. But like Divya said, they don't necessarily guide on exact time, but you just need to make sure you have enough time for your decision to come through. Next, so how much months will it take to complete all the procedures and come to UK? So just timelines on application for the visa, Divya, if you want to repeat that.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So the timelines, when you apply online, so you will need to take the appointment at Visa Application Center. So it may take 4 to 5 days to get the appointment. And after you get the appointment and submit the biometrics there, it takes 15 working days to process the decision, to process the application if it's a straightforward. So if there is any other requirement, it may take longer than that. So you might want to consider these time frames while you're applying for your visa. As I mentioned, you can apply 6 months ahead of your course start date. So just apply as early as possible. And you can mention your travel date in the application form, and your visa will be issued 1 day, it will start 1 day before your date mentioned as a travel date. So and you will get 90 days to travel. So it shouldn't be bothersome that you're applying too early, maybe 2 or 3 months early. That's absolutely fine. Just mention the approximate day that you wish to travel, and it should all be sorted then.
Yep. Earlier the better, so there are no panic attacks towards, just when you're about to travel. You have enough to worry about that. You shouldn't worry about this. Our music course is also eligible for graduate visas. For example, King's College offers a bachelor's in music. So would that also qualify?
Yeah.
So the niche courses?
I'm not too sure about the specific music course. Most of the courses are, but what you can do is when you speak to the King's College, if they are here today, you can probably check that they would have a better idea of the eligibility, because I wouldn't be aware of the specific courses, but most of them are.
Great. Is money in my parents' account okay to show?
Yes, the parents' account money is acceptable. Just establish the relationship. You should be able to establish the relationship with your parents, and then the parents' account would be acceptable. Yes.
Great. Quickly going through these, we just have a few minutes left. My passport name and educational certificate names are different. Will that become a problem?
Your passport name and the educational certificate. My question would be, why are they different? Again, so this is specific scenario. The documents that you submit they should meet the eligibility criteria. They should be as per the documents that we have mentioned, and of course, the basic details should be correct. So just ensure that these are in line with the application guidelines.
Okay. Does the tuition fees change in student route? I didn't understand the question. The tuition fees are basically determined by the institution that you're going to, and that is something that you need to show in terms of your funds available when you apply for your visa. It is exactly what the university specifies it to be in your CAS, and that is what the UKVI will look at. Will I be eligible for the student route? Please don't use student route or graduate route. They are not interchangeable. Again, they are very different things. A student route is your visa to go to the UK to study. The graduate route is for you to apply to after you finished your course and your degree to work in the UK should you choose to do so. They are very different things. But will I be eligible for the student route? I'm going to say, and the graduate route if I am doing diploma course there.
Diploma course there, so is that the diploma course in UK itself?
Yeah, I think if they study a diploma in the UK, will they be eligible for the student route and the graduate route?
Yes, probably they will be eligible if they are meeting the criteria. So and applying for the student visa for any of the graduate course or a postgraduate course. I don't think diploma course would be a limitation for that. You are able to meet the eligibility criteria, it should be allowed. Yes.
Okay, great. Last maybe 2 or 3 questions. If I have a dependent on my student visa, do we have to show any funds for them as well while applying for a dependent visa for them? Will this change if they get a job opportunity there while they move?
Okay, yes. So if the dependents are going along with the student, so yes, the separate maintenance amount has to be shown as they're showing it for themselves, the students themselves. So for the dependent, it's around 7,605 pounds that needs to be shown as the maintenance funds for each dependent. So and that's for the time of the application, and after going there, they might be able to secure jobs. So that's perfectly fine. But at the time of the application, they should be able to show the evidence of funds and the availability of funds in their account.
Okay, great. I'm going to literally ask the last 2 questions. What does the credit score mean?
Credit score in terms of?
I'm not sure. Did we? I don't think we really mentioned the credit score.
No, we didn't. I think it's used by the university. They give credit scores for after completing the semester. So it's
okay.
The universities, I think.
Okay, I think, yeah, please check with the university on that. During the graduate route, therefore, one can work in areas not related to this area of study till they get something that they want to work in. I think, yeah, that's about right.
Yes, they can work anywhere. They can gain as much experience at wherever they want to. So that's permitted.
Okay. If a student, this is a question maybe for VFS. So, Kirti, if you want to come back. If a student stays away from home, can they apply in the nearby VFS center? Where will the passport be sent in that case?
Hi. So yes, they can apply from the nearest application center, and the passport can be delivered to them as per the address provided by the student wherever they want it. Just need to have the acknowledgement slip that we give them at the end of the submission. That needs to be provided to the courier partners so that we validate that yes, it is the same person we're delivering it to.
Thank you so much. I think we'll close here. The questions are endless, but you know, don't worry. The good news is that the fair is on now. It's opened. It's from 2:30 to 6:30 today. There are 42 UK universities who are there for the next 4 hours to meet all of you and to speak to all of you. So all the questions you have, the universities are also able to answer some of the visa questions. If you want to ask them, they will be able to answer questions around graduate route. However, if you want more interactions with UKVI, just keep a lookout on our website. We usually do, quite often we do Facebook lives and other kind of live events with them, and you'll be able to meet them then. And Divya will be there to kind of answer more questions for you there. What I'm doing right now in the chat is I've just put in a link which should be visible to everybody. That is your link to the landing page of the fair where you can meet the 42 universities. There is also, like I said, a subject matrix where you can go, which you can download and check which universities you should meet depending on the subject that you want to study and the level you want to study at. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this session. A big thank you to UKVI and VFS for joining us. Obviously, this is one of the most critical seminars of the fair. It's the most important. Everyone's worried about visas. However, that comes next. First, you need to apply to a university. You need to understand what you want to study, where you want to study. And then after that, only will you need to apply for your visa. So there'll be more engagements with UKVI in the meanwhile. For now, please do go on. Yes, you can join. You can meet as many universities as you want. There are 42 universities. You can meet all of them, one of them, two of them, 10 of them. It really depends. You're free to do that. You have time till 6:30 today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a lovely day and enjoy the fair. Bye-bye.
Right.
Request everyone to please leave this room and go on to meet the universities, please. This room will be closed right now. Hi, for those who are asking how to go to the room, let me quickly put in the link again. You can see a link in the chat. Please click on that link and you should be able to go to the landing page where the universities are and you can meet them. It is also there in the joining instructions email that you got earlier. Okay. Simultaneously, you cannot do 2 rooms, I don't think. So you may have to come out of one room and go to the other. And you've been given a password. It's the same for all the rooms. So please just use that. All right. Thank you. Have a good fair.